Hi, everyone. Welcome, Carl Steinbeck. Just want to cover some of the latest things I'm seeing in court there in Tallahassee. This thing is an absolute hot mess. Very much disappointing to see that the issues are still not being properly resolved. The issue with Daniel Rashbaum being conflicted with Donna as his current client, and also Charlie Adelson, his previous client, and having represented them both over many years, it's really a bizarre thing to see that this they're trying to put a quick fix on something that's a massive constitutional fiasco mess that's not being properly addressed to date. I was really shocked to see Georgia say that she did not want Rashbaum off the case. I can understand as a prosecutor, you do not want to have this trial be derailed and not go to trial today. But the problem remains that you have a massive conflict with Rashbaum representing two murder defendants, one already convicted and one facing trial here today. So just saying that you got a third party independent lawyer coming in for 30 minutes to advise Donna of her constitutional rights, who this lawyer is basically just nabbed off the streets, doesn't know anything about this case, is just such a shocker that this would be even entertained by the court and considered credible representation for Donna. And once again, Donna was asked about waiving her constitutional rights to the conflict of interest. And once again, it was all yes, no, yes, no. And the judge said, you voluntarily, are waiving this, but he never addressed the part about whether she intelligently and knowingly waived this constitutional right to have conflict-free counsel. So this thing is still not being properly addressed. It's still a massive appellate issue. And in my opinion, it will be busted on appeal if they don't get rid of Rashbaum and also Alex Morris. Alex Morris can say all he wants that he was not a part of any knowledge of what Rashbaum had gained from information representing Charlie Adelson. But the bottom line is the way ethical rules work is that the entire team is presumed to be tainted. And so you can't cure it by just getting rid of Rashbaum and then having Alex Morris continue on. So we're talking about a wholesale mass change of lawyers here for Donna to have conflict-free counsel. And what's really so upsetting about this is that this should have been done from day one when Rashbaum tried to get on the case. The judge should have inquired and should have basically said, no, I'm not going to keep you on this case. This poses too much of a conflict that cannot be adequately resolved. And the real shocker here, I could not believe it, is that Rashbaum never got a waiver from Charlie to represent his mom, Donna. That's like lawyer 101 kind of stuff. For him not to have that in writing, because as a lawyer, what you want to do is make sure your client never comes back on you and says, hey, you didn't properly advise me of this conflict. So this is like a massive failure on the part of Rashbaum, which shows he's just completely over his head on this case. He has no business, from what I've seen, representing Donna, because he doesn't even understand how the rules of conflicts work and how you mitigate those and resolve those. So, but then again, you also have the prosecution. They're not properly standing up and saying, we need to run this to the ground, Your Honor. We strenuously object to Rashbaum being an attorney on this case. They should have done that from day one, and they should have kicked him off from day one. And now this whole thing is exploding up in their face. And now they're trying to say, let's just keep the train rolling down the tracks. We don't care that there's busted up rails and a down bridge or two ahead of us. We just don't care because we just want to get to trial and get to conviction, which they'll obviously get if this goes to trial. But if you want to get it done right and you want to make the conviction stand, what you need to do is get rid of all these attorneys. So I don't know if the judge is going to go down that route, and I hope he does. You hate to see this, and I'm not happy about it. I feel especially bad for all the Markells having flown down there just to see this absolute disaster show unraveling. But you just need to get it right from the ground up. You can't have this quicksand foundation on a stone house that you're trying to build. So it's just basically a house of cards right now, the legal apparatus that they're trying to build this case on. And so the prosecution needs to get their they need to get their knowledge of the law squared away and not just drive forward and say, well, we just want that conviction. We don't really care about the appeal. So no, as a prosecutor, you need to make sure you got your ducks in a row from a legal footing. You don't want to just try a case, throw it over the fence, and you get a conviction. And when you're not doing stuff to protect the record on appeal. So this case is full of holes right now with Roshbaum and Alex Morris on the case. And if the judge doesn't remove them, then, well, okay, you'll get a conviction. And then we'll hear a couple years from now how they'll have to retry Donna. So why try her twice when you just get it right the first time? And it'll be a year and a half delay, obviously, at least, to get new counsel on the case. I don't think new counsel are going to demand speedy trial, given the volume of documentary and digital evidence that they have to review. So in any case, that's something that hopefully the judge will bring some sanity to this case. Because right now, it looks like all these lawyers have no clue what they're doing. They think they just cobble stuff together and make it legally sufficient from a ethics standpoint. And even the case that was cited by the judge, the Colker case, it talks about the potential of a conflict. Okay, so here it's like an actual conflict. It's not a potential conflict. So I hope the judge uses his inherent authority granted to him by the state courts and case law, that he has the authority to remove the entire defense team and start over. So that would be really the most appropriate thing to do. But if they don't want to do the appropriate thing, they just want to get a trial and just put some quick fixes in for the derailed train tracks ahead and just keep this train moving, then I guess that'll be what happens. But like I say, it's going to be a short-lived victory, because they're going to have to start all over in a couple years. So I just don't get this. It's just very, very much a disgrace. It's very much a disgrace what's going on down there in that courtroom. I can tell you that Roshbaum also sitting there slumped over. He actually looks like Charlie sitting there, doesn't he? He hasn't had to say a single thing. He's letting Alex do all this work, answering the court. And the judge never inquired, as I mentioned, to Donna's knowingly, voluntarily, and intelligently waiver of something that's of a constitutional magnitude that'll bust the whole case open on appeal. So this whole thing, as it stands right now, will be busted on appeal, because no one's doing the right job here to cure this massive, massive problem. So I hate to say that, but this is something that I've been having nothing but very strong concerns, because I figured in the end, this is not properly squared away, and we will have to face the justice of it and the improprieties of this sooner or later down the road. So they might as well get this done now. They might as well try to get it fixed the right way and get rid of this crazy clown show of a defense. It's absolutely appalling that this thing could go on this way, and that you don't even have a written waiver from Charlie. That's so it's just so shocking. But like I say, there's so many levels of shock for me that none of these attorneys are getting the fact that this is something that's going to reverse the case on appeal. And I'm speaking of that from a constitutional standpoint. I don't need to know Florida law. We're just talking about the constitutional basics of the Sixth Amendment right to conflict-free counsel and the Supreme Court case law on that. And it's like something that I guess is a case. It's a situation of first impression for all these lawyers. And Georgia mentioned she briefly looked at the case law. Well, really, after all these months and knowing Roshbaum's on the case, that's what they should have done in the very beginning when they first heard of Roshbaum making an appearance, is they should have done a deep dive on the case law and realized that this is not going to come out good. This is not going to come out clean. You're basically setting yourself up to get reversible error. So this is a setup. And Roshbaum is, considered, we've heard him say that he considers Donna like a mother figure to him. And anytime you're that emotional with a client, you lose your focus. You're making emotional decisions. Your head is too much tied to how you want the client to feel rather than giving the blunt truth. And think about it also, there's a lot of money to be made by representing Donna after Charlie. So, I would say that lawyers can be clouded by that as well. The opportunity to make hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, which most clients walking into a criminal defense lawyer's office will never have, and the clients will never um, pay more than something like usually uh 10, 20, $30,000 for a lawyer fee. So they're in the Miami area. So in the end, I think we're going to see here what the judge decides. Judge Everett, I think, wants to do the right thing. I think this is one of those things where the judge has to have the courage to think like, hey, do I want to get reversed on appeal? Do I want to upset the family and the prosecution and all this kind of stuff? But it's just an ugly hot mess that's not going to be is not going to be cured by the judge trying to fix it here and saying let's bring this third party lawyer in who's not really independent anyway, because I'm sure he's contacted by Alex Morris, and so he's having a loyalty to Alex Morris and Rashbaum in his advice to Donna. And why wouldn't he talk Donna out of it? It looks like he's a very young lawyer, and if these very well seasoned lawyers don't even get this conflict issue, how's this young guy going to properly advise Donna? And so anyway, it's very much a disturbing situation there. And so in the end, if we get this case to trial today or tomorrow, and we will get a rapid conviction for Donna, I'm just saying that there's probably a very high likelihood it gets reversed on appeal. So that's the thing. Do they want to fix it right now? And it's sort of like using fix a flat when you got a flat tire and you got to run a cross country trip across the United States. Are you going to use fix a flat, or are you going to bring it to a good tire shop and get that professionally repaired that hole? But this is really like a blowout tire, so they're pretty much riding on rims now with no rubber on the road. So are you going to drive a cross country trip with a blowout tire? That's pretty much how much of a disaster this is, because they're not going to make it to the finish line, which is a confirmed on appeal conviction for Donna Adelson. So anyway, it's just such a shocker, and I do not have any idea which way the judge is going to rule, other than the fact that I put that in the heading here, that the judge should remove all of them if he wants to clean this hot mess up. And so in any event, I'll go ahead and answer any questions you have now. Go ahead and put them in red emojis so I can capture those here. Clint Adams, you're asking, could it be that Georgia doesn't care if it goes to appeal because it'll take 2 years and Donna might not live that long? Donna could live, another 10, 15, 20 years. So that would be a really short-sighted and misguided decision on her part. I just think that what I see prosecutors want to do is just get it to trial, get it to a jury. And a lot of times they're not thinking about protecting the record. They're not thinking about how this thing could blow up in their face and how they then have to do it all over again. And so it's really like I say, shocking to see that Georgia just said she would prefer that Rashbaum stays on the case. So you should have strenuously objected and encouraged the judge to do the best thing to preserve this on appeal, which is get all new lawyers. So that's my take on it. And yeah, I think this is they should arrest Wendy now, and why not arrest Harvey as well? Quit letting this stuff get delayed. I mean, it's just really an embarrassment. It's a professional embarrassment. I'm embarrassed for the lawyers down there that they just don't get it, and this thing is an absolute disgrace. And it's one of these deals that how do you explain this to the Markells that they missed this opportunity to fix a record many months ago when Rashbaum first made his appearance? Alaska, you're saying, how does speedy trial add to this mess? Well, there's not been a speedy trial demand for Donna yet. And so I think if she has new attorneys on the case, they're not going to demand speedy trial. They could, but I doubt they will, given the volume of information. And it really puts a lot of pressure on the attorneys to be up to speed on the case. And so that's probably highly unlikely. So I think they're going to want to be like Rashbaum, ask for a year or two on the case to get up to speed and to properly advise. Susan, you're asking what's going to happen now. Well, I'm concerned that they're just going to try to fix it and proceed on, and this is going to get busted on appeal. And I don't. My approach is to like you create you fix all the problems at the trial level. You don't get sloppy with your work, especially constitutional issues like this. You don't let the appellate court sort it out. You fix it at the lowest level possible, and that way you never have to deal with it again. So if they keep Rashbaum and Alex Morris on the case, this thing is going to be appellate issue front and center, number one issue of ineffective assistance, conflicted counsel, and they're going to bring up all that stuff about Rashbaum and the fact he's emotional, considered her a mother, and she was denied all that, and the fact that Alex Morris joined on this case. I mean, that's I was really shocked that somebody who's been practicing law that long would join a case that had conflict on it, because automatically he's conflicted as well. And I think we heard him say he's not ready to go to trial. He wasn't prepared to be the lead counsel. And the judge, he's even noted that, the conflict extends across the team. So I would submit to you that even this third independent guy is not independent. He's a part of the team as well. And he's not provided any kind of competent legal advice to Donna whatsoever. So the only way you're going to resolve this is get rid of all the lawyers. So if the judge doesn't do this, it's going to be a huge disappointment. And it's like I say, it's just mind-boggling how much incompetence I'm seeing down there. Really, it is. Mel von Monkers, you're asking, do I think this was a premeditated plan by Donna's defense team, especially Rashbaum? I really, based on the way they're acting in court, I really think that they don't really get it. And so their whole reputation is at stake, how effective they are, their credibility in front of the judge is at stake. They have, they're going to get booted off a murder case, and you couldn't foresee that coming. You didn't have the wisdom as a lawyer and experience as a lawyer to know how to properly handle this, to avoid getting booted off the case. It's really, like I say, this whole thing is expected. I've been concerned about this, and I've spoken to this ever since Rashbaum's on the case multiple times on this channel. So I do want there to be, justice in any case, no matter how guilty and cruel and evil the defendant is. We got to make sure our standards of justice are fair and equal across the board, and we don't have defense lawyers that could botch stuff up this much, and then it gets reversed on appeal. So that you're not serving anybody right. You're not serving justice overall. Justice correct. You're not serving the victims properly, having to be drugged through the mud again, and yet come down another time, another 2 years. I mean, what this thing could have been easily prevented by getting Rashbaum booted off the case from the get-go. Diane Avery is asking, if Rashbaum is removed, can the prosecution then put him on the stand? No, because Alex Morris the entire team is conflicted. I think the judge should rule the entire team's conflicted, including this new guy that has provided no meaningful advice to Donna. In 30 minutes on a murder case, you're going to explain something of a constitutional magnitude that is so serious that how would this lawyer understand the constitutional magnitude when the other lawyers in the courtroom don't even get it? So there's not a quick and easy fix. Liam is asking, if this trial is delayed, can and will the state steer towards putting Wendy on trial in the meantime, or is this just justice out for another few years? Boy, I hope they decide, you know what, we're going to arrest the other two Adelsons involved in this, and not let this thing be drug out, and then Wendy gets another 2 years of freedom before they arrest her after Donna's conviction. So I think the state is dragged their feet enough, and they need to get this thing executed. And they sat there and said nothing on this conflict of issue that was raised, and the judge basically trusted defense lawyers to keep this thing on the ethical high ground. And obviously this thing's has been a disaster waiting to happen, and Rashbaum should have never taken this case if he's going to think like any other defense lawyer in America. So it's very much a botched situation. Karen Skywarn, you're asking, do I think they'll arrest Wendy now? Well, I do think that they'll, you know, you don't see a lot of fire in the belly from Georgia, so I don't know if it's going to be up to her as it's going to be more the lead attorney there as a state attorney himself, Jack Campbell. But my gosh, you need to have more aggressive, tenacious advocacy for justice. So quit dragging your feet. Get these other folks arrested. They've had too many years of freedom walking the streets, and it's just very disturbing and upsetting. Terry, this is a good question. Have I ever seen judges fire attorneys in such a manner? Interesting. It seems clean. The thing is, like I say, this is so bizarre. Most attorneys would never do what Rashbaum's doing. And then you even have Alex Morris that would join the team, knowing that he should know that he's conflicted as well as Rashbaum. He can't take over the case if Rashbaum gets canned. So no, I have not seen this before. That's how bizarre this is, because most attorneys do not want to have a conflict on a criminal case because there's issues affecting their license and their standing with the state bar, as well as the fact that the case could very well be busted on appeal just because of the fact that you don't run from this conflict that Rashbaum is completely embraced and didn't even do the most rudimentary fundamental things as a lawyer, where if you have a conflict, even in a civil law conflict setting, you have written waivers. That is a given. It's the gold standard, the platinum standard. Every lawyer knows you get it in writing. And for Rashbaum not to do that, and this whole case was sitting there for this long, waiting to go to trial, and the victims have not had their day in court to get Donna convicted. Is this really such a travesty of justice? Crime Prano, you're asking, it's the College Hall have been proactive versus reactive. Yeah, they're being totally reactive. And really, if it wasn't for the appellate lawyer, Utterman, he gets it. But I would disagree with him that it's even fixable by having this third party person as a ethical wall. You can't have an ethical wall. They're all part of the defense team. Even if this guy didn't talk to any of the other lawyers about the case, he's conflicted as well because they're the ones that called him in. And so everyone's tainted, everyone's conflicted, and no one's been proactive enough. And that's what I've been harping on for the last so many months that since Rashbaum's been on the case. Pedro, again, you're asking, I think I already covered this. Will she be arrested in the meantime? I don't know. It seems like the state's sort of flat-footed. They're not really getting it. And, when they get knocked down, they tend to be demoralized and less aggressive. So, yeah, that's that's probably one of the biggest issues of concern besides the additional long suffering for the Markell family. Linda Ortiz, you're asking, will the attorneys be reprimanded by the court and or the Florida bar? Well, you notice how sheepishly Rashbaum was just sitting there slumped over. I think he should be concerned about something like this, but I'm not a Florida bar attorney, so I don't know what they would do. And just the fact that he was able to sit on there and not get bounced. And I mean, if I was a judge on this case in Texas and you had a Rashbaum coming in there following up, having done a terrible job representing Charlie, and then he's wanting to represent Donna, I would have wire brushed him with so many questions, him and also Donna. And in the end, if they didn't make the right decision on their own, then I would have bounced him. Yeah, there's no doubt about that. I'm not going to risk a murder trial conviction because some guy wants to stay on the case that's up to his eyeballs, drowning in conflict issues. Okay, Jamie Polizzi, you're asking if the new lawyer was only brought in to cross Charlie, what's the big deal? They will be Rashbaum's questions anyway. No, they're saying he's independent and there would not be any conferring between the attorneys. He wouldn't even have time to really study the case and know what right questions to ask. That would take many months and months for him to get up to speed to know to ask the right questions. So no, that doesn't cure it either. And like I say, he's conflicted. He's not effective. They're all ineffective and conflicted. So if you want to go to trial and win your conviction and have this case brought on appeal, just do some quick fixes of the potholes and the busted up train tracks ahead and the bridge out, and just let it go to trial. So, but if you're the kind of a prosecutor that wants to have the conviction stick, you don't want to have this thing come back to bite you. And then think about it, they got to retry this, and then we'll all know the Supreme Court case law or the Court of Appeals that basically bounces down its conviction because this thing was not properly addressed. Trust me, the Court of Appeals will cite the fact that everyone sat there with basically sitting on their hands, not properly addressing this from day one. Lon Lit, you're asking if this works as a strategy to later appeal, why don't more people choose conflicting lawyers as a way to build an appeal strategy? Well, they could try to do that, but the thing is, most lawyers are smart enough not to get wrapped around the axle of an ethical conflict representing multiple co-defendants in a criminal case, let alone a murder case. I mean, it doesn't get more serious than this. All the investment of resources, the trauma suffered by the victims, and you're just gonna like not even get a written waiver. This is like so seriously a botched maneuver. I mean, it's reckless disregard, I would say, for your lawyer duties. And I'm also shocked that Alex Morrison say before he got on the case, if somebody was forum shopping for a second local lawyer and I had to be the local lawyer, the first thing I want to do is like, where's your written waiver? Right? That was just a presumed issue that I didn't even think that would be botched by Rashbaum. But here we go. It's brought out in court. And look at how sheepish even Alex Morris is acting. I think he's utterly ashamed that he's on this case. And he's probably deep down hoping the judge kicks him off the case. I would be if I was on this case and got lured and tempted into taking on this case for big money, just to have this thing turn out to be such a disaster and a public disaster that can be seen around the world. Okay, Jamie, this is something, if you follow my channel, I think you probably wouldn't be asking this question, but I'll go ahead and answer it. I would say that how would Donna win these appellate issues when she's consistently sworn in court that she waives her right to conflict-free trial? It's not the conflict-free trial. I know what you mean. It's the attorney waiver right to a conflict-free attorney. Well, what I've said before is that no one's fully explained to her what a conflict of interest means and the constitutional right, what are its ramifications. Give her some scenarios. They could have given the scenario like, well, hey, you understand your lawyer can't cross-examine Charlie if he's called as a witness by the state. And any lawyer you bring on is conflicted. And basically your lawyer is going to have to be withdrawn at that point, which i.e. the judge should have realized, Rashbaum, you're not staying on this case. I can think of scenarios you're going to be conflicted out. So it doesn't have to be actual. It's just the mere potential under the Colker v. State case law that the judge cited this morning. So the mere potential of a conflict is enough to give the judge authority to bounce the defense attorney. So Rashbaum should have been bounced from day one and is told there's no way you're going to create a constitutional crisis in this case, in a murder case, Rashbaum. Okay, so that's what should have happened, and it never happened, and it's just been festering and festering, and now guess what? Now they finally has this come front and center because of what the appellate lawyer for Charlie named Utterman is citing for case law and conflicts, and that Charlie can hide behind this. Keep in mind, there's a state law that says if you're subpoenaed by the state, you automatically have immunity. You can't hide behind it. That you can be called as a witness no matter where you're at in your own criminal proceedings, whether it's pre-trial, post-trial, during trial, appellate-wise. They can call you anytime as a witness. And the thing is, they didn't foresee any of this. Total lack of foresight, total lack of any strategic awareness of how this constitutional issue is going to blow up in their face. And that's what I've been troubled with that ever since Rashbaum's been on this case. So here we go. It's an absolute disaster in the making, and it's not going to be fixed. It's just going to linger out there, and it'll get busted on appeal. It'll be busted on appeal, and the Supreme Court's right there in Tallahassee. They're right down the street from this courtroom, right across the street actually, and down a little ways. So it's very much it's embarrassing. I feel embarrassed to see this happening. I don't like to see the lawyer profession, the justice field have this kind of black eye. And basically be flat-footed like this. JV, you're saying there's one person ultimately responsible for this fiasco, and that's the judge. Well, I would say that, yeah, if I was a judge, this thing would have not been, Rashomon would have been bounced. I'd have had an immediate hearing, and Rashomon would have been bounced if I couldn't talk him and Donna some sense in him for. So in the end, yeah, ultimately the judge is a gatekeeper. But I would say also it's highly shared with the prosecution. The prosecution has had no comments about this conflict at all, except the fact that they said today, Georgia said today, that she wants to keep Rashbaum on the case. So it's just a matter of keeping the train on the tracks, and they're headed towards a bridge out and a derailment. So anyway, it's I don't get that line of thinking, and it's just really really shocking that people can be that lack of aware of what they're teeing up. Mary Patterson, you're asking about how this affects the reputations of the prosecutors. I'm not going to worry about their reputation. I'm just trying to get this trial fixed for a successful appeal. So it's just anyway. It's just I would be totally highly embarrassed as a prosecutor. So really bizarre. Mondo Enterprises, you're asking, was all this done on purpose to play the court against itself as a strategy? I would say no. I think that Utterman could have done this sooner. I think this was more like something to help put a massive explosion on the tracks of that the prosecution has. So I think he probably did delay it out so that he could create this huge ruckus and throw the whole case and lose a lot of momentum for the prosecution, because now they don't know what they're doing on this on allowing this massive constitutional appellate issue to be lingering. Woodall, you're saying even with waivers, would appeal be bad counsel? Yeah, these waivers are meaningless. Okay, I'm sure the written waivers are meaningless. They don't know how to do it distributed enough, give enough examples of how this could help Donna if she did have unconflicted counsel, and also this very scenarios where Rashbaum is so conflicted he have to withdraw from the case. So nobody had any kind of foresight on this, and that's what's so troubling. And so are they all? I think they're all going to try to save face and just probably do the easy thing, but in the end, this thing will be reversed. So yeah. And I've been saying that it wasn't knowingly, voluntarily, intelligently waived by Donna. You look at some of my past live streams. That's what I've been talking about. This thing is still an issue out there. The constitutional crisis has not been resolved, and it still would be a constitutional crisis even if she was asked all those things, because she could always change her mind at some point down the road. So really, the only fix that should have happened from day one is getting Rashbaum off the case. Mel, you're saying again, the third lawyer is not independent. He said he will cross-examine Charlie. Yeah, so he has to be up to speed on the case. And what is he going to not talk to Alex and Rashbaum if they're still on the case? It's just like such a laughable, such a laughable solution. It's not a solution. The conflict is not going to remain. The constitutional crisis is still there. I agree with you, Bob Cornelius. This is absolutely a three-ring service. I see you got a Marine uniform on there. Thank you for your service. Tremendous waste of resources. Yeah, all this was should have been known and should have been fixed long ago. Angie Roberts, you're asking why the judge not foresee this. I would say that probably because a lot of judges have never seen something like this. You don't see an attorney willing to throw themselves under the bus and represent a conflicted party like this. And if you got the prosecution out apprising the judge of, hey, judge, we got serious reservations. We've done case law. There's a conflict issue here we need to address, and it cannot be cured with Rashbaum on the case. So the prosecution should have informed the judge of the case on that they had a problem with Rashbaum on the case. Think about it. If Rashbaum was bounced from the case on day one, this has never been an issue. We could have gone to a trial and had a clean kill conviction, but yeah, I think Irish, you're saying it seems like a romper room. The judge wasn't as angry and assertive and aggressive as I thought he'd be towards counsel. Well, if I was a judge and I heard that Rashomon had never gotten a written waiver, I would have exploded on him and just ripped him to shreds. Okay, and instead he basically put the court in a predicament that they're in. But like I say, in the end, I think the judge is also realizing it. He was the gatekeeper of this, and he allowed it to happen. And lo and behold, ultimately the buck stops with him. He's the one that's controlling whether counsel can be on the case or not. So yeah, foreseeable mess. I'm seeing comments about, yeah, this is a foreseeable mess. Annie, I agree with you as much as it painfully takes to say that they should not be entirely dismissed. You're saying the waiver not be. You're saying that Judge Everett said the waiver may not be sufficient to go forward. Yeah, are they going to get a written waiver from Charlie? And where's his appellate attorney? I guess they can get a written waiver from him, but in the end, it's not going to be. It's not going to cure it. It's still going to be out there, and we're gonna have a reverse conviction for Donna based on the constitutional conflict of interest because she did not get conflict-free counsel, and nor was she properly advised and informed of what this actually meant. And her defense could point fingers at Charlie and say that stuff he's saying is wrong. For example, if Charlie says a certain time he told his mom about when this double extortion bogus theory was discussed with her. What if she has a different recollection of that? What if she says, no, it wasn't that month and you didn't describe it that way? Well, what if her attorney wants to cross-examine Charlie and sort of discredit him on his memory, and not even in a bad way to say he's a liar, but just to show he's off? That's something even then the lawyers are going to be. There's sort of like a conflict that it's like, how do you resolve? Who's going to be who are you going to hold out as your most loyal to? Because it comes down to loyalty. Conflict of interest has to do with who you're most loyal to. So is Daniel Rasham able to say he's equally loyal to two murdered defendants? No, you can never say that. It's an impossibility. And that's why, this should have been derailed from the get-go. You derail Rashbaum, not here at the 11th, 12th hour, you derail the whole case and get rid of him then. So I think if, yeah, like I say, it may come down to saving face, but is the judge going to want to get reversed on appeal, or would he rather go now? And if he rules again and kicks off Rashbaum now, it's almost like he's admitting that he dropped the ball himself. And so I hope he has the courage enough and sees it the way most attorneys would see it, that have been very seasoned in criminal law, that you don't allow Rashbaum to stay on this case, or anybody affiliated with Rashbaum. Thanks, Liam. That's nice of you. Okay, let's see here. Help me, Rhonda. You're asking, can the judge be subject to sanctions by allowing the situation to reach the appellate courts? No, I mean, judges make mistakes all the time and they get reversed on appeal and whatever. That doesn't affect their standing by the appellate courts. That's what they're there to be, second set of fresh eyes to see whether things are properly done at the trial level or not. So no, this is not going to. The judge has done nothing ethically wrong where he's going to get sanctioned. They only sanction judges for ethical problems. There's a judicial code of conduct in America for all judges. And so he's done nothing unethical. This is just a legal situation that was not properly resolved. Katerina is asking, did Rashman do this on purpose? I think is what your question is. No, I don't think he did this on purpose. I can't imagine. I don't know. That's, I guess mine's gonna differ. It's such a gross negligent dereliction of duty as an attorney. I would say that you could come to that conclusion, and maybe it's more likely the fact that he thinks of Dawn as a mom for so many years and reminds him of his mom, as he said, that he's lost his ability to focus on the things he should be focusing on as a lawyer who's been doing this for many years. But as I've said, and I don't know if I've said it on the channel before, but Just because your career is it has you involved in doing a certain skill in a profession doesn't mean you're actually any good at it. Okay, so you could do the same thing over and over again. You could be a dentist over and over again and do a terrible job filling teeth, right? Or pulling teeth or whatever you have to do in the dentist's office. So, it looks like Rashom's really over his head on this case on simple, fundamental principles of lawyering. Pedro, no, Rashomon has not ever done a murder case before. So this is the Charlie was his first one. And I don't think he really does violent crime or those kind of cases at all. I think it's more white collar. You're looking at like Medicare fraud and those kind of things where it's all a paper case, and most of those cases settle. So those are not really proper training ground for the knockdown, drag out slugfest you have in a violent crime case, which is the most knockdown, drag out. I'll say if you're doing violent crime cases, you got to have your skills honed better than any kind of civil law lawyers. Civil law lawyers, when I see them, they're really bad at cross examination. A lot of them are terrible at voir dire, jury selection. Their opening closings, they can be very, very lame and pathetic. But I'm telling you, if you want to be good as a lawyer and really get your teeth sharpened on how to slug it out in the courtroom and be effective, you really need to do a lot of violent crimes. So that's why I think he's one of the reasons why he's over his head. Gila Smith, you're saying the prosecution team needs me, but I would say that everything I've been saying about what they could do to improve the case has been put out there on the channel. So apparently they don't follow the channel regularly, at least, because or else they just ignore it and think they're good to go. So I don't get this, but if they wanted me to help them out, I would, just as a advisory thing. I'm not licensed there, but just in terms of general strategy and tactics, because as a lawyer, what should you do? But anyway, most lawyers don't like somebody looking over their shoulder or telling them how to do things and admitting that they don't have the right experience in how to deal with things. I guess I do recall now that George on I don't know which channel, but I recall her saying that if anybody has ideas on things, you can reach out to her. I just I know people have told me they've sent her stuff of my videos, so she knows who I am. And like I say, if she wanted to know more about how I would view things, then she can either watch the channel or give me a call. So I don't know where that's at, but anyway. Amica Cream, you're saying could the judge have foreseen this issue and forced Rashomon to be dismissed? Yeah, that's what my opinion is. What should have happened from day one. Um, Instead of, like I say, what I would have done is make Rashbaum see the light on how ridiculous this is, that he's going to try to muck up this prosecution by staying on Donna's case as well. And that was never done. There's this generic questions posed to Donna, and I think those were, written up by Rashbaum. And so it was a complete foreseeable disaster from day one. Yeah, Sherry, I think I've addressed this, but I'll say it again. If Charlie does sign a waiver, it's not meaningful. You still have a conflicted defense team. It may solve it for Charlie, but I don't think Charlie's going to sign a waiver because his appellate lawyer is going to throw the roadblock in and say, "No, you're gonna hurt what you've hired me for. I don't care about your mom's trial. My loyalty is to you, not your mom." So I really think that this is something that I'd be shocked if he signs it. I really do. I think the only reason he'd sign it if he basically wants to do it over the objection of his lawyer and says, "Oh, I want to just help my mom. I got to help my mom." So if he does it that way, I don't think any lawyer from him would ever allow him to sign that waiver. So anyway, it remains to be seen. Maybe he'll just try to like I say, just try to put some quick fixes on it and let this whole thing blow up at the appellate level instead. A day. I don't think Rashomon's doing this on purpose to create an appellate issue. I just think he's basically he's in over his head. He doesn't know what he's doing. That's my opinion. I've never talked so strongly about him that way before. I've always tried to give him the benefit. But I'll tell you now, this is like massive, massive levels of incompetence. Based on what I heard this morning, there was not a written waiver. That is so shocking. And no one ever asked him either. I mean, think about it. The judge didn't even ask him that. It's like a given. Alex Morris didn't even ask him for it and just say, "Hey, I want to see a copy of it." I mean, any lawyer that's done criminal law for a while and known that Rashomon is representing somebody, and they can see how bad the case was, and this absolute theory that was the biggest joke you'd ever see in a criminal trial. Yeah, so it's like there's just incompetence is swirling all around that courtroom. No, I don't think he did save Donna. I think I don't know. You guys can decide. I to think an attorney would intentionally derail a case and get himself in an ethical quagmire. Now, granted, he may not get in trouble with the state bar, but that remains to be seen. But like I say, I think he's just in over his head, and it's just so shocking. I never thought you'd see something this botched in an American trial. All right, let's see here. Mel, you're asking again. Interesting that Rashomon took second chair today and did not speak. Thoughts? Well, I do think a Rashomon is really it's sinking in on him that what an embarrassing job he's done by not getting the written waiver, and that he may get bounced from the case. The judge may bounce him from the case, and then think about it. Then how's he gonna explain that to Donna? Hey, Donna, I did some stuff. The judge found me to act in error, and oh, by the way, I'm off your case, and I'm keeping all your money on top of it. Go spend another million on somebody else. I would say at that point, I can't imagine Donna being friends with Rashomon at that point. I think she would go livid on him. So, yeah, I think he was there wanting to hide behind the podium and all that kind of stuff, and he was just slumped down in his chair like Charlie was, and I just can't believe the judge didn't rip into him. No, Nanette, I don't think the judge is going to sanction anyone. Like I said, I think the judge is ultimately the one responsible for not properly addressing this conflict issue. And I hate to say that about Judge Everett. I mean, Judge Everett's an awesome judge, but as I've said before, judges get stuff wrong, and I think he's. I hope he's following the line of reasoning that I am, and looking at the case law that's out there on this constitutional issue, Supreme Court case law as well. And it's not going to be cured and fixed. Her entire team is conflicted, and they all need to go. They all need to go. You can't cure this, even if you don't call Charlie as a witness, okay, and then try to fix it that way. You're talking about this is going to be front and center, big target on the prosecution's back, is why they allowed this to happen. So might as well just take the pain now and start over, and because it's not fixable unless you get new attorneys. That's my opinion. It's not fixable. It may be fixable if the judge allows it, but on appeal, it's not going to be fixable. It'll be a reversible error. Ajay, you're saying why we knew all about this since December. Why not the court? Well, like I say, don't know. That isn't it probably not something that's ever happened before, where somebody's like Rashomon want to stay on two cases that are so massively conflicted. Okay, Claire from London, UK, you're asking, I think this sets the scene for ineffective counsel with Charlie's appeal, and I have not seen what the appellate briefs are, but maybe they'll do a supplemental brief because it hasn't been filed yet. So maybe they'll do a supplemental and bring this out. Don't know, but I would say that it's definitely an issue of concern, and the real issue of concern is that if you think about it, Donna was represented by Rashomon before Charlie, so he's been swirling around this conflict with both those parties for a long time now, and so it's a possibility. but I'm not going to say any more than that. Michael's saying you agree that with me on the attorneys being removed, this could have been avoided from the get-go. Yeah, I mean, if you got a constitutional issue, you don't put quick fixes on it. You gotta rip it out by the roots and start out over and plant a new foundation. And so you got a house you're trying to build on quicksand, right? So why not just lay a new foundation on bedrock instead of quicksand? James Bradbury, you're saying so there's a 2-year delay, or that's just possibility. Yeah, well, it should be a high probability based on the fact that new lawyers should be appointed. But I don't know if the judge is going to do the right thing and bounce these lawyers that completely botched it. Cindy Collin, you're saying the ethical conflict was obvious from the get-go. Yeah, I agree. Why weren't these attorneys fixing it? Hey, Mana, you're asking if Rashomon is dismissed, will he be shanked by the bar? There's a possibility he could be, but not doing the waiver. And I would say maybe, Donna could file a bar complaint against him and wait, he could be sued and they could go after him for all the money that they paid him as well. Then the other part you're asking is how long do you think the trial will be delayed for? I think it's going to be probably at least a year and a half is my guess. I would say any attorney wants at least a year and a half to go to trial. And so Donna's going to be there that much longer before this goes to trial. And, when you wait that long on a murder case, anything can happen. Strange things can happen. Witnesses fall off the availability and stuff like that. So they just need to arrest Wendy and Harvey right now and quit dragging their feet. JCQ is asking, what's the worst case scenario? Well, the worst case scenario is, the courage and commitment and tenacity of the prosecution withers away, and they decide we're not going to go after any other Adelsons of Florida until we get Donna in the crosshairs and convicted. So I'm just really concerned that they don't have the zeal and tenacity to go after this the right way. Liz Gratz is saying, isn't this the first time Rashomon has tried to represent? Oh, you're saying it isn't the first time he's tried to represent co-defendants. He tried in 2018, but the judge wouldn't allow it. I'm not familiar with that setup. So if you want to add more to that and put in a comment after this chat, because I don't go back and look at these chats during the live stream. I do look at comments after the live stream's over. So if you want to add some comments after this live stream's over, I will get to it and I would look that up because I've never heard that before. $79 Theo is saying makes Rashomon look incompetent. Well, I think that's part of the reason why he was slithered down in his chair, because he probably was expecting to get blasted by the judge, but the judge never blasted him. So I was disappointed in that. Julie Cruel here is saying, could the oversight of an unsigned waiver be intentional? Well, if it was intentional, then you could say, yeah, that would be a good indicator that maybe he was trying to create this conflict issue to help his mother-like figure on appeal. So I'm not going to accuse him of that, but it is such a gross error. But then he wonders, like, well, why wouldn't Alex Morris, think of that as well? Like I say, and ask to see that before he agreed to come on the case. So it's just, I just cannot comprehend how this many attorneys could drop the ball on such a massive constitutional issue. Pedro, you're asking, is it possible they did all this on purpose, including representing Charlie? Said even Charlie could argue ineffective counsel on appeal. Yeah, it is possible. I hope it's not. Okay, I hope it's not. And that's what happens when you have lawyers asleep at the switch, and they're not dealing with a constitutional issue that's hitting them front and center, and they just basically ignore it. They just basically ignored it, the prosecution. So very, very troubling to see that. Julie Nielsen saying he can't be independent as he's getting paid. Well, I think what they meant by independent, he's independent from the defense team, but yet the defense team is the one that got him to be on the case. So even though you didn't discuss the case, you were sought out by those lawyers. So there's some uh, there's some connection there that does not make you independent. So you weren't independently found by Donna, I'm sure. So anyway, in the end, the entire team, including the so-called independent third wheel, is not independent. They're all conflicted. They all need to go. Cat Cat Love Dreaming Peach is asking if Wendy was going to be arrested after Donna's trial. That means it gets pushed back too. Also, will she ever get arrested? Yeah, she better be arrested. And they just need to go ahead and try to show that they're more committed to justice than what they're doing right here. They need to show that they're going to take a stand against these other two remaining Adelsons. Yeah, Susan Norton. You're asking, wasn't the quote unquote independent lawyer the same as who they want to cross Charlie? How is that not extremely problematic? You're absolutely right. Thank you. I did not bring that up as well. Because this guy that would, let's say he does get up to speed within a days to be able to cross examine Charlie, how is that even effective? You need to have awareness of this for months. You need to study this case in detail. So he wouldn't be effective in cross examining Charlie. And so that alone is he's ineffective. So would that be reversible error? Maybe not. But like I say, the whole thing has a cloud over it. He's not independent. He's not competent to speak. And in 30 minutes with Donna, and then he's representing the court that was basically enough time and everything's good to go. And she wants to proceed to trial. No, sorry, it doesn't work that way. Unless you're running some kind of bizarre Florida court that's outside the realm of what normal courts in America are like, then I guess we'll have trial. But I'll be very shocked. Well, I don't know how shocked I'll be because right now I'm so shocked at the lack of proper response by all these attorneys and the judge that I, who knows what's going to happen because what makes sense, even with knowing that the issues been raised by the appellate lawyer for Charlie named Utterman, they still don't get it from this courtroom. The judge only mentioned voluntarily to Donna. He didn't mention knowingly and intelligently having waived that conflict. He didn't explain the scenarios. And so this is just like, wow, I'm just appalled. I'm just shocked and appalled to see this going on. That even when they have it hit them in the face with a 2x4, they still don't get it and know how to fix it. Dr. Dossler is asking, can Morris save himself by recusal? Well, he can maybe save some of his reputation by recusing himself, but who knows? Who knows what these guys are going to do? I would never be an attorney that takes on a case like this with Rashomon's conflict, and I would say I'm just shocked that any attorney would. And then you don't even confirm this with written waiver. It's just very, very shocking. But you know what? People drop the ball like that, and normally it just doesn't get such mass coverage. But I can tell you, you ask 1,000 lawyers about whether they would take this case as Rashomon, and I would say none would say they would take it. And if you ask those same lawyers, well, would you want to, if you're not in Rashomon's scenario, would you jump on in Morris's situation? Most of them would probably say no. And if they did say maybe or yes, they'd want to see the waiver. So we know that didn't happen. So don't know what happened with Alex Morris dropping the ball on that, but I know, Gary. Yeah, it's unbelievable what's happening right now. Well, it's believable because this was highly foreseeable. So, but they still don't get it. They still don't get it. Why is this subject just coming up now in the judge's mind? Well, I mentioned the fact that next time Donna's in court, I mentioned this a month or two ago. Next time Donna's in court, the judge needs to, address this conflict issue and make sure she really gets it. But even then, it's not really curable. It's always going to be lingering out there as a appellate issue. So at least you can build a record to this. But in the end, you don't want to go down this road because there's always scenarios you can't contemplate, and just a few scenarios you can contemplate. it would create a dilemma where Rashbaum cannot represent Donna with Charlie being a witness. So don't understand it, but I just hope the judge does the right thing and gets rid of all these counsels so we have a clean conviction. I agree with you, Shannon Sullivan. This is a disservice to justice, and you got all the hands, all these hands are playing a part in it. Everybody in that courtroom that's an attorney. Real happy is asking why didn't the state make sure the waiver for Charlie was in writing? Yeah, I mean they just sat there, said nothing. It was like, hey, it's not our issue, it's the defense issue, and they can deal with that with the judge. Well, that's terrible lawyering. Okay, so sorry, that's what it is. It's terrible lawyering as a prosecutor. Somebody saying Jill Roshbaum. Hey, also, by the way, it's like I try to be professional on this show. So if you call Rashbaum anything other than his name, like I want to give examples, but I will not comment. I will not present your comment, and I also will not heart your comment afterwards. So I'm trying to stay professional here. So I'm not trying to trash people. This is not a show about trashing people. I'm not trying to be anything but a professional. Trying to talk to you guys lawyer to lawyer as if I was your mentor as a lawyer, how I would talk to you, try to explain stuff to you. And so we don't try to mock people. I don't call Donna names. I don't mock her at all. I talk about the evilness of what she's done, but it's all from the standpoint of how I will be talking about the case if I was in front of a judge with a robe in front of a jury. So that's the kind of way I try to conduct all my conversations with y'all. So if you do use terms like that, I'm gonna not repeat that, and your question probably will not get asked by me. Sometimes I might ask a question, but I'll say his name properly. So just keep that in mind. Crime Prano saying this all just doesn't make logical sense for attorneys, right? Right. That's what I've been saying this whole time. Is no lawyers should get this. I am this. It's so baffling and mind-boggling that we're having this conversation, and everyone's dropping the ball. Every single lawyer in that courtroom, including the judge, have massively dropped the ball. So that's what it comes down to. All right, now let's see. I'm jumping ahead. I'm almost a half hour behind. You guys got a lot of questions here or comments among yourselves. Shiraz, you're asking, is there anything the state could have done to prevent this? Absolutely. They should have been demanding that Charlie's attorney Rashbaum cannot represent Donna after he's represented Charlie, and they just sat there and did nothing. So that's what the state should have been doing from day one, and they should have done everything they can to convince the judge that this is not sustainable. It's not anything but reversible error to allow Rashbaum on this case. Okay, Shannon Sullivan, you're saying as a lawyer, Carl is correct. This should be dumped now. So yeah, I agree with you, Shannon. You know, just suck. You just have to embrace the pain now to have it done right, because otherwise, you know, you're gonna have Donna win out on appeal. No, sorry, that's even the worst. That's the worst thing to have to poison pill you have to swallow. So no, just deal with it now and avoid the train wreck. Avoid the train falling off the bridge. Sorry for that nut honking the horn. They're not honking at me. Basic Timmy, you're saying Donna's going to get a public defender if Rashbaum's removed. She doesn't have another million for a new lawyer. So I think they probably do still have some money out there. So I think she would get somebody new. I don't know the exact details on their finances, but I don't think they've gone through all their funds yet. Yeah, I agree. New York Patriot lady. Markel's, you're so sorry for their pain and continued discomfort. Yeah, it's really sad to see. So court resumes at 1:15, so it's about an hour from now. Sonny Houlihan is saying, why are they still discussing this? What is Judge Everett's mindset and continuing until this afternoon? He needs to research the law, and I think he's probably going to call some other judges. That's what I would do if I was a judge and I didn't have these firm convictions and principles like I'm describing here, and knowledge of what the ethics rules requires for the 4 states I'm licensed in. So in the end, I think the lawyers would tell him, you got to get rid of these lawyers. I mean, I would say these judges are going to tell him, you need to get rid of all 3 of these lawyers. Any lawyer that's been representing Donna, you need to get rid of them, Judge. So hopefully that'll be what happens. But I don't know. They may just want to kick the can down the road, let the appellate court sort it out. All right, let's see here. Okay, Lily Flores, you're asking, do I think Charlie Adelson threw Rashbaum under the bus by saying he never signed a waiver, although it might have been verbal? Okay, any lawyer knows for ethical conflicts, you need a written waiver. Verbal discussion is never sufficient, will never protect you as a lawyer from being sued or being disciplined by the bar. So every lawyer knows you have to have it in writing. If it's not in writing, it never happened. That's how strong that needs to be in writing. Okay, there is no deviations from that. Absolutely, a waiver of a conflict, especially a constitutional crisis magnitude conflict, needs to be in writing. No other exceptions allowed. Garmy Girl, you're asking, Morris seemed to be the one doing the talking today, sitting in the lead seat. Is this Rashomon being a coward, or for lack of a more professional word? Well, I think he was he should have been expecting to be absolutely ripped to shreds by the judge. The judge should have like tore into him when he found out there wasn't a written waiver. But I think the judge didn't, because I think he's also feeling responsible that he dropped the ball, not asking and confirming that when he's talking about conflict of counsel. He never bothered to find out, did Charlie actually waive that conflict? I don't think any of those guys thought about that kind of thing. I think they, by default, just trusted the lawyers, the defense lawyers, to do this properly. So in the end, it does the buck does stop with the judge, though, for being the gatekeeper and preventing this from happening, even if the prosecution drops the ball and the defense drops the ball. So that's the way our justice system works. Where Rosemary Flourishes is saying, why did Georgia and Sarah not address this sooner and aren't now pushing for removal? Risk of overturn at appeal must be huge in this cluster of conflict. Well, I will say that this is they're caught flat-footed. They don't realize if they do realize the magnitude of them dropping the ball on this, they probably are hoping this goes away, because this is really embarrassing for them if the judge bounces Rashbaum and the defense team, because they are culpable as well for being massively derelict, right? So maybe they're just hoping to get the conviction, and this thing, just they live to see another day. And if it gets appealed, then well, at least they're dealing with the painful embarrassment down the road. But I just hope the judge does the right thing, gets them all bounced now. Gerard, you're asking if there's a possibility that the trial will be abandoned permanently due to the time and expense involved in starting over again, if that's the decision. No, they're not going to kick it down the road permanently. They just need to regroup. The charges still remain on Donna. They're not going to dismiss her charges over this conflict issue. But yeah, it just goes to show you that the competence of lawyers can make a big be a big factor in the outcome of your case. The victims may not get justice if you got a prosecution that doesn't know what they're doing. They don't know how to tee the case up right and make it bulletproof on appeal. If your defense lawyers don't know what they're doing as well, you could get wrongfully convicted. Or if you're guilty, you could have them create such an appellate issue for you knowingly or intentionally, and you come out on top that way. Only have to face another trial. And if you have to face another trial, is that really worth it? Some may say, yeah, every time you go to trial, you get a better chance of a better outcome. But in the end, I think that they'll definitely keep charging Donna. They just need to bring in Wendy and Harvey now to be prosecuted as well. A day you're saying Donna's waiver means nothing on appeal. Yeah, there's no detailed scrutiny of what a waiver of a conflict-free counsel means. So yeah, it's this is an absolute it's absolute absolutely bizarre situation, and the fact they still don't get it, none of those attorneys in the room get it. Hopefully, the judge is getting now between now and less than an hour from now when he starts back up. Maya saying, your opinion is that everyone involved has egg on their face, but Rashman has a whole nest covering his entire head. Yeah, but Rashman is also representing as somebody who looks at a mother figure, and you can lose your mind representing somebody you consider like family. You lose all your focus and your normal distance you keep emotionally with your clients to keep your head in the proper mindset. So I was, yeah, it's at least an egg on their face, but I mean, it's a massive, massive, huge professional embarrassment, I would say as well. J- Janie Garnett, you're asking, what do I think the judge will ultimately decide? Like I say, it depends on what he wants to do. Does he want to not get reversed on appeal, or does he want to have it start over and be done the right way? And does he even get it? I don't even know if this judge even gets it yet. So he does know based on that case law he cited that he has the authority to bounce the defense team, but whether he'll exercise that authority or not, don't know. I just hope he does the right thing and bounces them. Okay, jumping ahead here. I'm at 11:38. Lenny, you're asking that they are versed that Morris is walled off enough and he will cross Charlie. I thought he was called only to counsel Donna today. No, Morris has been on the case for like 2 months, I would say, after Donna was arrested. So he was there to do the jury selection, and he also was going to handle some witnesses, but he's not walled off enough. The entire team is conflicted, so he can't. He should not take any part of this case as well. Debbie M, you're saying that Judge Everett is measured. He will ensure that he researches thoroughly. So much is on the line here. Yeah, but he hasn't. He's not been giving proper rulings to date on this, and I just hope he gets up to speed from the time he left the bench to the time he's going to get on at 1:15 here Eastern time. Postpartum for delays. Is Morris regretting getting into this case, in your opinion? Yeah, I'm sure he's having those thoughts because he didn't. I think any lawyer that looks at this and they go, "What you got on the case? You didn't make sure Rashbaum had a waiver, and even then, why would you get on the case?" I mean, think about it. They were looking around town, talking to different lawyers, forum shopping to see who would want to take the case and join them for, I don't know, whether it's $500,000 or $1 million, and it's very tempting as a defense lawyer to want to jump on that, but in the end, yeah, your professional reputation will take a hit based on this absolute joke of a defense that the Adelsons have propped up. Jim the Mud saying you don't have to be a lawyer to see the conflict of interest, other shady agendas at play. Yeah, there's I don't know how much intent there is behind it, but like I say, professional incompetence is just run amok. Woodall, you're asking if this goes to state bar, what are the consequences for Rashbaum? I don't know. The state bar may do a written reprimand or something like that. I mean, I don't think he's going to get disbarred for something like this, but my gosh, talk about a bad lawyering. New York Patriot lady, you're saying if Rashbaum's ejected, um, removed is what we'd normally say as attorneys. Morris is the lead, or if both are ejected, who defends on? They both got to be removed by the judge. That's what I've been saying. You can't have it cured by bringing in other other folks that have been tied to Rashomon. In fact, if you notice, Morris mentioned that he'd not had any conversations or messages or looked at any information that Rashomon had in representing Charlie. So he's trying to say there's already an ethical wall there of sorts, but that doesn't cure it. It doesn't cure it because, like I say, the entire office or the entire team, their entire organization on a conflict with attorneys, the entire office is considered conflicted. So you can't have a 100-member firm and one lawyer have direct representation with a previous client and say, well, I'm the only one of these 100 lawyers that can't represent this case. No, the entire firm would be conflicted, all 100 lawyers, even though only one attorney had the direct conflict. So the same would apply to the defense team, even though they don't share offices, they're not co-counsel. They don't partner together as a law firm. Perception of justice. You're asking as an attorney, how do you see Rashomon filing this motion in the last minute? Okay, it wasn't a Rashomon motion. It was actually a motion by the attorney Utterman, the defense appellate attorney for Charlie, and he was the one saying that there was Charlie was not willing to waive his conflict with Rashomon as to him being cross-examined by Rashomon. So that's where we're at. This creates the big crisis because if you can't be cross-examined by Rashomon, then how is Donna going to get effective assistance of counsel? And that's why he was suggesting in this motion that there could be maybe a third counsel if the court approved it, where that person is independent from Rashomon and Morris. But like I say, that doesn't cure it either. All these attorneys representing Donna are conflicted and or ineffective because somebody can't get up to speed and do that waiver in 30 minutes and do it effectively. So the whole thing's a farce. This whole thing with the waiver and all, it's all just an absolute farce. And Shiraz, yeah, that's what I've been saying. Any waiver is going to be pointless. Charlie can change his mind later. Yeah, just like Donna can change her mind at a whim in the middle of the trial. She says, "Okay, I don't want to fire Rashomon. I don't waive my conflict anymore. I want to exercise my constitutional rights." I mean, what do you do? You'd have to declare a mistrial, right? So this thing is just waiting for a mistrial to happen. So if the judge doesn't fix it, we're talking about mistrial. If they want to pull that stunt. JJ Don, yeah, you see it as well. This will always be a problem if Rashomon continues justice for Dan. That's why I look at it. Carrie's asking, will they give her bail if they give her new lawyers? No, she will not be bailed out at all. No, she's going to be stuck there until she has trial again. Shannabelle, you're asking, a waiver from Charlie at this stage could be under duress, wouldn't it? I would say it's not an issue of duress. Duress means you have situations that override your ability to think freely and act without any kind of restraint that's overriding your otherwise decision-making process. So no, I just think that Charlie's going by what his lawyer's saying on appeal, and I think his lawyers. I guarantee you, Charlie's lawyer is saying, if you get on that witness stand, you're not helping your case, number one. And oh, by the way, you're not helping your mom out either. The first jury didn't believe you for your trial. Now the second jury for your mom's trial, they're not going to believe you either. So why would I allow you to be set up like that? So that's, if he's going to have frank conversations, that's what he'd say. Otherwise, he'll just say the first one, hey, there's too much of risk on your current case, so therefore I need to protect you this way. Even though you want to help your mom, even though you think you're a great witness, the downside is too severe for your case. Ramona Blue, you're saying you agree a surgical approach is needed. Yeah, it's painful. Surgeries can be painful, but might as well get it fixed now. Wesley, you're saying Rashomon should have to give a refund. Yeah, I would say that if they have to redo it, I guess well, I would say if we go to trial now and then it's reversed on appeal, I would say yeah, she should get a refund. I mean, would Donna still keep him if she got convicted on appeal? And there's also this hot mess. I would say this appellate court should step in and say, Rashbaum, you're not going to be an attorney on this case. And then they retry Donna, and Rashbaum's off the case. And then maybe she's going to try to get a refund or sue him for malpractice or something like that. Yeah, some of you all blaming the judge. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, like I say, this Frenchie connection saying, will Donna remain in prison during prep with the attorneys? Yeah, I guess I just covered that. So absolutely, she's not going to be out on bond. I hope not. It should not delay the arrest. They just need to, if anything, speed up her arrest. Jeff Bass, do you see any possibilities that the trial is not delayed? Yeah, if they just want to not properly address this and just put some quick fixes in there that don't properly address the constitutionality of it, then I would say we're going to have a trial starting later on today or tomorrow. Okay, jumping ahead here. Jane Gardner, how do you think this whole mess affects Wendy? I don't know if she's even watching this or paying attention. I think she's just trying to ignore it, and maybe she'll just get some tidbits of information from her attorney that she's probably paying $2,000 an hour. So I would say that's probably what's going on. And this stuff doesn't really bother her. What's going on with her mom? And I think that no matter how it turns out, even her mom's convicted, she's never going to talk to her mom again. I think is what's going on. Brittany, you're saying that he was Rashomon was picked up on a hot mic saying he's afraid of what the bar commission is going to say. Well, he looked like it this morning, didn't he? I don't know if that where you heard that from or how you heard that. But if that's the case, yeah, he should be. Yeah, Woodall, I noticed that too. Alex Morris, I mean, he looks defeated. He looks beat down. He looks miserable that he's a part of this defense team. And the juries pick up on that. These lawyers are not going to look like they believe in their client at all. And it's be another slam dunk win for the prosecution if they can get the right clean, unconflicted defense team there. Andy Lee, you're asking if the defense assure them that there won't be another theory, stick with the double extortion, therefore Charlie wouldn't be needed. No, I think that defense are not going to commit to that and stipulate to avoid that being an issue. That maybe in Florida it could be, but I would say I don't see that happening. Defense don't want to ever stick to something and promise something and in exchange for not being bounced from the case. The conflict of interest is so huge that any assurance they make to try to mitigate it and avoid it is not gonna help. And as to this defense theory as well, I mean, Rashbaum's so convoluted and wrapped around it. He's stuck with Charlie's story. Lally, you're asking why didn't Rashbaum step down his own money? Attorneys don't treat clients like their mother. Yeah, there's a number of reasons. I'm sure money was a very tempting factor. Absolutely. That had to have been a factor for anybody. Michael Myers, you're saying Carl's right about major crimes being smash mouth. My girlfriend was a prosecutor for 17 years and said that too. Yeah, I mean, if you do civil law, I would say I don't look at you guys as trial lawyers the same way as violent crime prosecutors. It's just a different level of courtroom battles going on. Totally different skill set, needed and necessary. You can get away with in civil court, but you just don't have the pressure on somebody's life on the line. You're talking about money usually. Blurry lights, you're saying, what do you think of Charlie's attorney saying the conflict was burgeoning, not actual until he takes a stand? Well, no, uh, it's his attorney is, you can't take that with any, grain of truth as to matter. It is an actual conflict, and it's not just, it is worse when he takes a stand, but you need to address it way beforehand. Okay, Crystal Blue 22 saying, who was that young female attorney in the courtroom this morning speaking to Judge Everett? That was Utterman's co-counsel. I heard he was on vacation, so she was speaking on behalf of Charlie as Charlie's appellate lawyer team. BG, let's see. BG Miller 5 saying, I've seen a handful of cases where co-defendants use the same lawyer with no issues. I do not understand why this is such an issue with Georgia. I'm not understanding why this one is such an issue that Georgia wouldn't realize it. Um, well, I don't know what you're talking about. A co-counsel, co-defendants having same lawyer with no issues. I mean, it's always an issue, and you rarely see that happening where lawyers will agree to take on co-defendants if it's something ticky-tacky, like minors getting ticketed for minors in possession of alcohol or something like that. Then something like that's not going to be a big deal. But when you're talking about murder, and you got two clients dead to right, one's already convicted, and the other one is going to wind up in the same outcome. You need to have fresh ideas, fresh thoughts. Rashbaum is not nobody. I don't care who you are. Nobody should represent those, because you're not going to have fresh ideas. You're not going to have unwavering, and your loyalty is going to be 100% just towards Don and not towards Charlie. And Rashbaum can't say that. He still has, legally and ethically, he has a responsibility to zealously keep the best interests of Charlie front and center if an issue comes up, right? Even though he's not representing anymore, if an issue comes up, he always needs to treat Charlie as if he's still a current client. And I'm sure Florida ethics rules require the same thing, just like my 4 states do. So it doesn't just end and then you can start trashing Charlie on the witness stand because he's not your lawyer. You're not his lawyer anymore. No, it doesn't work that way. You always have to act in their best interests. And so in this case, I would say I don't understand why Georgia doesn't get it. Maybe she's never seen this before and never thought it was an issue they have to look at. But it's inexcusable. Janie Garnett, I think Adonis still wants Rashomon as her lawyer despite of his incompetence. I don't think she gets it. She doesn't get it. The lawyers don't get it. So no one's explained it to her properly. The judge doesn't explain it to her properly. So that's what I'm saying. This is why this is an automatic reversible error on appeal. Andy Logan. Hi. The comment here I think is something that any judge in America, for the most part, would agree with. You're saying that my husband is a judge of 41 consecutive years and agrees with you 100% and agrees to remedies all new lawyers to stop appellate issues. This is a complete mess, he says. Justice for the Markells. Thank you for posting that, Andy. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is not something, this is not some, you know, brilliant solution I'm coming up with on how to cure something that nobody had the foresight to see. No, it's very much easily foreseeable, easily something that most any seasoned lawyer, even unseasoned lawyers in the criminal law arena, and especially judges, should have seen this thing coming from 100 miles away and taking care of it and address it right away. But so in the end, it didn't happen. So I just hope Judge Everett is like Judge Logan, I presume, and gets these clowns tossed. Crystal Blue, you're saying, can I explain the wall definition? Well, it happens like we've a lot of times called the Chinese wall, because you can have certain situations where you firewall attorneys from each other from having any kind of cross-pollination, if you will, of talking about the case, working together, sharing files, sharing information. If you completely create a wall where there's no ability to affect the other attorney's decision, then that's what this motion that Utterman wrote was talking. He's talking about an ethical wall. That's what he was talking about. Where it's like, if you got a third party like this third guy they brought in there, that could maybe be a remedy if the judge agrees with it. But it's not a remedy in my book. Utterman threw that out there. I think he's completely wrong based on constitutional principles of conflict-free counsel. So the only remedy is to get rid of all these attorneys that Donna Adelson has hired. That's the only logical, sensible, and legally supportable decision, as much as I hate to say it. But this is not something that should have taken anybody by surprise. This should have been a massive troubling concern for the judge and the prosecutors from day one if the defense team is asleep at the switch. I have a dude, also another lawyer here, 46-year lawyer here. That's a lot of years. You have a lot of experience. You're saying the conflict screamed in all caps on the day Diane started to represent Donna. His extortion defense of Charlie locked it, and he's still throwing Hail Mary passes for Donna's an appeal. Bush League. Yeah, this is yeah, I think any lawyers, even civil lawyers, should be able to see this as being an absolute shocking thing. Another embarrassment. I mean, this is sort of like they're all acting like they're brand new baby lawyers. They don't know what they're doing. Catherine Armstrong is saying, "Can a conflict-free lawyer hit the ground running?" I would say, I'm just thinking of like myself. If I knew nothing about this case and I was handed Donna's case file, and I was, let's say, I was either hired or appointed by the court to represent her. I mean, I would have serious reservations about doing a speedy trial if I thought it was to her advantage and the government wasn't prepared. But unless you think the government's not going to be prepared, keep in mind that's what Luis Rivera's attorney did, who was court appointed. He basically demanded a speedy trial, and that's why he was able to scare the prosecution into giving him, basically he's only going to serve 7 years. I think it is more than his other federal conviction. So that's just an amazing sweetheart deal he got, and he was able to use that as leverage by demanding speedy trial. Now in Donna's case, it's just they just have to play a replay of what they did in Charlie's case with the new additional information, the new emails we saw between Charlie and Donna, the new information about her trying to flee the country, and also the new information about the issue of Charlie's lawyer at the time, that David Oscar Marcus calling up Detective Isom, that kind of stuff. It makes me wonder: did they finally go back and look over the case in more detail, or did they sit on this information not think it's relevant? So, in the end, I don't know, but at least they are coming up to more details, because I've been harping on that, saying you win and lose cases on the details, and I didn't think this prosecution team has ever gone enough details on the case. So that's my 2 cents. But hopefully if they get a conflict-free attorney, I think they're going to ask for at least a year and a half. I'd probably say a year and a half is the average time of what an attorney would ask for on a murder case, and maybe 2 years would be the minimum. It all depends on how much confidence the attorney has in their ability to adequately represent and put up a tenacious fight, assuming it was going to be convicted. If you take a case assuming it's going contested, you never think ahead of time like, oh, well, I think this could probably sounds like a plea bargain case, so I can do it in 6 months, Your Honor. And then it turns out your client doesn't want to plead guilty, and then it's like, oh, well, wait a minute, I only asked for 6 months trial date, and thinking I was going to go plead guilty, and now I can't do that. So, Your Honor, I was representing that 6-month mark, thinking I was going to be able to talk my client into pleading guilty. But no, you have to assume that it's going knockdown, drag out, contested. And so you need to put the furthest, most date realistically, without the judge, thinking you're just trying to string it out as far as possible. Because that's one of the goals for a lot of defense attorneys, is delay the trial as long as possible, because the case generally gets more stale. The prosecution loses their interest and zeal in prosecuting it. and they just want to close out their docket. So it does work to the defense advantage normally. Rainy Day Girl is saying maybe with a quick Donald Adelson conviction, they want to move on to others ASAP. Wouldn't it also bolster those cases in the meantime? Well, it's going to bolster them if they do have a conviction against Donna, and if they went ahead and aggressively charged Wendy and Harvey. Yeah, this could give them a shot in the arm they want, even if they think, well, it's probably going to be lost on appeal. I think in the end, the right thing to do is to just have with aggressiveness and zeal for justice for the Markells. Just go ahead, get her new counsel, represent to the court that Donna needs to have her entire team fired, removed from the case. And once new counsel is signed, they'll pick a new trial date. And meanwhile, just go ahead and arrest Wendy and Harvey and quit dragging this out to ad nauseum. Lacey, you also get it. You're saying what a mess, new attorney needed. You want the conviction that can't be appealed. Yeah, that's really what I would say is the best outcome. If you're banking on Donna maybe dying while there's an appeal pending, that she only has a couple years left, then maybe that would be something you want to consider. It's like, well, let's just let if the case gets reversed, then she may die beforehand. Or if she dies during the appeal process, then the conviction won't stand anyway. So, but that's not the right way to take it. She could very easily live another 10, 15, 20 plus years. So you don't want to size up the case that way. Ann Arbor, assuming they have the same defense, what's the issue in cross-examination? Well, the issue in cross-examination could be Charlie says something that is really damning to Donna, and you want to try to cross-examine him and discredit him, and you can't do that if you're Donna's lawyer. And if you're any part of Donna's defense team, you're conflicted, and you cannot properly cross-examine him, and therefore you are per se ineffective assistant in providing the Sixth Amendment standard of an effective defense, and it will get busted on appeal. So just like these other judges have come on here, or their spouses have come on here and said that this is an automatic. You need to fix it now. You don't make appellate courts do your job. Put on your adult mind and get out of this juvenile mindset and do the right thing. Have the courage to do the right thing and get this fixed now, not later, by somebody else's decision. Okay, let me jump ahead here. Daniel Ricker is asking, could this be in long term lead to a mistrial? Yeah, it could lead to a mistrial. Like I say, if Donna in the middle of trial says, you know what, I think Rashomon needs to be fired. I withdraw my waiver of conflict free counsel. Then guess what? The judge is gonna have to declare a mistrial. You've already called your first witness. Yeah, it has to be a mistrial, and it's going to be the trial is going to be starting from scratch, round two. And so that's what a hot mess. That would make it even worse. So, like I say, something's going to happen, and I bet you if they don't get off these defense counsel off now, my prediction is something like that will happen where they'll regret that they ever agreed to have Rashbaum in the case. So I really believe Rashbaum on this case will never make it to a jury. There's going to be something else that's going to come out and bite them in the butt, and they're going to get a mistrial. So I don't think the prosecution gets that. I hope the judge gets it, and I hope they right the ship on this. Abhorrent is a good word. You're saying abhorrent that it's coming now after all this time, and now wait until justice is done. Emery Maureen is saying, was this situation triggered by the prosecution calling Charlie Adelson a witness, or was it always a problem because of Rashbaum's double representation? It's always been a problem. It's always been something that Donica in the middle of trial, like I say, saying, I don't like Rashbaum. I want him off, or I want conflict-free counsel. I don't want to waive anything. And I've never talked to an attorney other than a Rashbaum teamed attorney. I've never really sought out any advice from an independent lawyer, which, by the way, they sort of represented in court. If you recall their waiver that judge mentioned the first time, Rashbaum mentioned that they sought out third-party independent advice or words to that effect. And Donna never heard that advice. It was only Rashbaum. That's another like really bizarre head scratcher. Why wouldn't you let Donna sit alone with a lawyer that where Rashbaum's not in the room, he's not telling them what to say, they're not aligning their thoughts and opinions together. You get an independent guy there that can certify that, hey, I've talked to him and I've talked to her, and this is what I advised her, and she voluntarily is making these decisions. Or even if you didn't ask for a decision, you just explained the law to her. That doesn't cure it as well, and nobody went down and asked enough detailed questions. It was all closing questions that Donna's answered yes, 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 yes each time. So that's not a waiver. Sorry, I've never seen that to be a waiver in any court I've ever practiced in. So I don't know why that was the case with this judge. Fletcher Boy, you're saying was delaying the arrest of Donna intentional by prosecutors because of potential conflict with Charlie due to counsel. No, I don't think that had anything to do with it all. I don't think they see this train wreck coming now. They don't see it coming now, and that it is here, and it's been barreling down the tracks, headed for the bridge out, and everybody's going to die on the train, kind of thing. And what we have here now is the arrest of Donna was delayed because they wanted to make sure they had the confidence and the ability to convict Charlie. So that's how they weren't able to size up the evidence and trust that they had what they needed to go forward with it. So whose ultimate decision that was, whether it was the top boss there, Jack Campbell, or that was Georgia. But it's just baffling that they don't get this conflict issue, and they're willing to keep Rashbaum on the case. I do hope that Rashbaum has to face the judge, and the judge blasts him about how could he be on this case not having a written waiver from both parties. Okay, here we got Faith Chavez. You're saying, could it be that Georgia wants to keep Rashbaum because getting new defense would delay the trial, and she's ready for a conviction because she is ready to arrest Wendy? That's most prosecutors' mindset when they don't get an issue of this magnitude. That's their mindset. Just keep the train going down the tracks. Let's get to let's just get to the let's get to the jury, throw it over to the jury, and let's get that quick conviction, and then proceed to arrest Wendy. But the problem is that keeping Rashbaum on, you're going to lose on appeal. You have to start this all over. It just makes no sense. Sir Tedrick Walker saying Donna waived her right of conflict. Judge should have required waiver signature. No, it's not much more than a written. It doesn't need to be written if it's in front of the judge. The attorneys need to do that ahead of time. For any conflict, you need to have it in writing, like I said. And then for the judge needs to have a long discussion explaining all the scenarios, the possibilities. And the judge should also realize that if she rescinds her waiver that she made to the court, that she is agreeing to waive this conflict with Rashbaum, what happens if she changed her mind? The judge didn't even address that, saying, you can always change your mind. But the fact that he asked her a second time and now a third time today, it just shows that, it's a fluid thing. So why would you allow a fluid constitutional crisis to be hanging over your court case the entire time you're trying it? It's just what a shocker. I just cannot believe it. Kendall B, you're asking, do I have a sense that Attorney Morris has become uncomfortable with the familial connection between Rashbaum and Donna? Yeah, I think he's very much regretting being a part of this case and thinking the money isn't worth it. And it's still, he's probably hoping the judge kicks him off the case. He's going to be able to take his money and walk away. He's probably hired for a flat fee, and he probably also noted the hours per rate if the flat fee was ever to be terminated, the contract was ever terminated. So he's probably built up enough that he's never going to have to turn money back over to Donna. So yeah, he's probably wanting to cut sling load, as we say in the military, and just get the heck out of town from that courtroom with Donna in it. Okay. Um, yeah, this is all foreseeable. This is not something very complex and something that's so rare that only the super experienced would know what's going on here. Like I say, anybody's been um, doing crim law for a reasonable number of years, let's say 7+ years, should easily know this conflict issue, and it should really be taught to baby lawyers as well. But here we go. None of these folks are acting as if they're even, been practicing law for a few days. Sophia, you're asking why was Judge Everett so afraid, quote unquote, to knock Rashbaum from the beginning. Yeah, I mean, he never like chastised him and basically let him know this was unacceptable, and it created nothing but conflicts for reversible error, and basically he should also talk to Don and explain to her under no uncertain terms how massive of a problem this is. But like I say, if Donna maybe wants to get a trial declared a mistrial midstream or get it reversed on appeal, maybe that's their goal. So maybe that's why this is something that they're happy to see nobody really scrutinizing and addressing this conflict. Debbie M, you're saying Donna's trial is a do-over. Then do you think they'll go ahead and arrest Wendy in the interim? By golly, they better. If they don't, this is like, wow, how weak and pathetic that would be. Shannon, who's a lawyer, you're saying lawyers are too smart to get in a situation similar to this. Yeah, you would think so, but here we got nobody in the room getting it. How often does something like this happen? Asked Kathy Q. Well, you don't. I can't. I've never seen something on a conflict be this much of a disaster. So, and like I say, most attorneys like Rashbaum wouldn't want to go anywhere near representing Donna. I don't know why Alex Morris would agree to do that, even if he made $1 million. It's just not worth it. Okay, Marta, you're asking, I know that this was the defense that needed to get the waiver signed. However, could the state, knowing that they were going to call Charlie, could the state have asked for the signed waiver? I believe in this particular case, yeah, the judge could have inquired of it. The judge could have asked to see it, et cetera. And the state thereby would have been able to see that as well and ask any follow-up questions or address it. But like I say, the state should have been pushing for a removal of Rashbaum at the first juncture they faced the judge, and they failed to do it. They failed to do anything to get Rashbaum off the case, including today, knowing a train wreck's about to happen on appeal. So in the end, yeah, that wouldn't matter anyway because they still don't get the big picture and how this is an issue. Shiraz, the states could have done anything. I just said that they should have been jumping up and down and screaming, not literally, but just saying, this is why Rashbaum needs to be removed, and given the scenarios to the judge why he should have been removed. New Jersey real estate attorney, you're asking if this was a planned stunt the day before trial. I think that I mean, they could have been playing this all along. I don't know, but if they did, then they sure outslicked the prosecution, didn't they? And they're creating a good appellate issue, and maybe they're hoping the judge just goes ahead and allows the case to continue with conflicted counsel, and so because they know automatically they're going to win on appeal. All right, jumping ahead here. I'm going to sign off here. I'll do one more question. I'll sign off. We do have the judge come on in about 20 minutes. So, yeah, Shannon Sullivan, who said you're an attorney. You're saying my second year law students. I assume you're a law professor. You're saying drafting this case study for my first year incoming students today. Yeah, if you want to talk about everything that can be done wrong in a criminal prosecution and by defense attorneys and not able to get defendants to do the right smart thing to protect their own freedom and livelihood, then this is you won't find a better case example than this. So and I can also say that, for example, like Charlie, the fact that he doesn't want to testify against his mom because he's believing his lawyer that he shouldn't. That also probably is creating some kind of rift maybe between him and his mom, and he's not able to talk to his mom. But the fact is that Charlie can't be there to help rescue his mom in his mind. But maybe he's believing his attorney that he's not going to help his mom. His mom's going to get convicted because he's a terrible witness, and nobody's going to believe his ridiculous story. Okay, so that's my last question then. So thanks for supporting Just for Markel's. Sorry that this case is coming to this. We're all disappointed, and like I say, it comes down to whether you want to see the trial now or we want to have it done the right way. So I would prefer that all the Adelson lawyers are removed, but it remains to be seen if these really disturbing ethical conflicts are properly resolved by the court. Hopefully, the court will do the right thing, which was getting them completely removed from the case and getting a fresh start, so we don't have to worry about having to retry Donna a couple years from now. So with that, I'm going to head and sign off, and let's go see what the judge has to say about it.